He is recovering from a broken back. So far, the team is 1-1. What are your reviews to this point?
Well, so far, I think that Ohio State has been forced to downsize this afternoon.
In the Hornets starting lineup, Marcus Neal serves as the veteran. He's a senior. As
the grass rim came back on his L2 and L3, the lumbar region of his lower back, with two cracks that were discovered not through x-ray, but eventually after further review through the CAT scan, we're able to find a couple of cracks in those lower lumbar region vertebrae, and now Evan Turner faces about 8 weeks out.
Thad Matta has gone through back problems of his own, so he's very sensitive to how quick
from the rest. But you look 3 through 9, it's a hodgepodge, and with Evan Turner coming back, who in my opinion was the player of the year before the injury, if he can come back on January 31st, the Buckeyes will make a serious run in February and March when it really counts.
I think many around here would agree. Turner's had a couple of triple doubles so far. He'll be on the bench today. And again, this is his third game without playing for Ohio State, his second week of inactivity, but he is staying active in his rehab. Won't do anything particularly special at this point, but doing all the necessary things to get back.
Well, to become more productive with less, with the loss of Turner, you've got to increase the productivity per person. Everybody's got to do a little bit more with less number of players to go to, and play to your strengths. It's an Ohio State team that shoots the ball extremely well. They're number 6 in the country in assist to turnover ratio. So for Thad Matta offensively, share the ball and light it up. 53% on the season.
By the way, mentioning Butler, that game with Xavier still going on with a second to go, and Butler has a 1-point lead at 69-68 on the last second basket. Here in Columbus, Ohio State and Delaware State meet again. The Buckeyes have dominated this competition, but the opening tip belongs to the Hornets and Ali Baba Odd, one of the best names in all of college basketball.
Now watch for Delaware State to really spread the floor, run a lot of shot clock, and make Ohio State play defense. This is the ultimate ground game in football. Kill clock with possession.
Mayborg, Bracco, and Yorkovich, veteran officials, will legislate today's game. And the first series comes up empty for the Hornets on the missed shot by Sandage. Will Buford, who had a strong game, as Mark alluded to, against Butler. His coach was so proud of his effort, mentioning that, hey, we were shorthanded, and Will almost pulled us through. We'll try the first 3 of the game and bury it for the Bucks.
Well, that's Ohio State basketball right there, knocking down 41% as a team from behind the arc. William Buford out of Toledo, opening up the game strong from three-point land.
Point guard for the Hornets is number 1, Trevor Welcher, who had 5 rebounds in the meeting recently with Ohio State over the last couple of years. 42, Greg Smith. Sandage you saw moments ago, and 30 is, as mentioned, Marcus Neal. And if you're going to beat Ohio State, or at least have a chance, you've got to make these possessions last long and get something out of the result of it, and that did not happen on that particular series.
Delaware State knocked off Delaware earlier this season. They played Arkansas tough on the road. So this is a team that can hang for periods of time because of their plan, the Greg Jackson plan in this game. Slow it up, make every possession count.
And they want to close the gaps against Ohio State. They want the Buckeyes getting good position and driving the lane. Now, on that particular series, Hornets tried to pick up a Ohio State turnover. Instead, it will stay in the hands of the Buckeyes. 16 on the shot clock. Coach Jackson, he'll be very active, as you can see already, on the sidelines. In today's shoot-around, he had much to say in a limited amount of time, but his guys got the message. Here's Lighty at the free throw line, lost the ball.
For Delaware State, they've got to get turnovers just like that. Get some easy baskets, deny Diebler the basketball, and gang rebound the ball. Do what Butler did. Take touches away from Diebler and then limit the Buckeyes to 1 shot. Critical elements for today's game.
All right, working the shot clock there at 15. Is that the plan here?
Absolutely. They want to run this thing down under 10 every single possession. It's 10 right now.
Welcher way out front. The trap from Lauderdale. The 3 from Smith on the way. That's a good possession for Delaware State.
Nice pick and pop, very good spacing off the pick. I like the way that Smith set the screen and then stepped away from the defender to create the passing angle and the space.
Smith, his first attempt from the three-point line, effective. Our game is tied at 3, and Lighty is bumped out front by Smith for the Delaware State Hornet foul.
Delaware State foul on number 42, Greg Smith, his first, team's first.
.303 wins for Greg Jackson in 2 different places, 144 of those at Delaware State. Made the NCAA tournament in 2006 and lost in the first round to Duke. Buford misses the long 3. Here's Lauderdale, and it's taken away by Odd.
They just didn't lose to Duke. They played Duke as tough as any number 16 in NCAA history has done against the number 1. This guy can coach.
65-54 loss to the Blue Devils afterwards. Mike Krzyzewski said, hey, great coaching job on the other side. And to make that tournament, the NCAA tournament in 06, they had to beat Hampton in the last seconds of the MEAC championship. Again, under 10. Second possession that they've worked the clock. Last time they got a 3. Will they get a shot off here? No, sir.
Shot clock violation. Possession.
Very good defense by Ohio State. Marcus Neal, the go-to guy for Greg Jackson, was able to get a touch late in the possession, but Thad Mata runs 2 defenders at him. No opportunity to get a shot off for Marcus Neal.
And the Hornets mark on the last 2 possessions have used roughly 1 minute and 10 seconds. They got 3 points out of it. That's not bad.
That's their plan. Work clock and stay with the plan. Very disciplined ball club.
Hill for 3, rimmed it in and out. It's tapped out of bounds by Smith. Ohio State keeps it on their side in a 3-3 tie, 3.5 minutes in.
Greg Jackson talked about stay with the plan, regardless of circumstance, stay with the plan. It gives us a chance to win. Uh-oh.
Nobody closed the gap on Leidy, and he just took it right to the rim.
A great athletic play, but unacceptable defense on the Delaware State side of the ball. No help.
And they're going to need plenty of that today. Ohio State, even without Evan Turner, has good athletes. And a most competitive team it'll be in the Big Ten without Turner for at least 4, 5, 6 weeks perhaps. Under 10 once again. Sandage against Leidy with 5 to shoot it. They're going to have to throw it up, and somehow they got the ball inside to out on a great pass from Marcus Neal.
Ohio State's biggest concern defensively is can they generate defensive patience for 35 seconds. I'm talking about offensive patience. Against Delaware State, it's going to take defensive patience to win the game.
Another 3 on the way by Hill. Misses the 2nd in a row. And again, a chance for Delaware State to work some clock. This is playing right in their hands, at least at the beginning.
Especially the early shots from Ohio State. When you run shot clock, one of the things you look for as a coach, how quickly do your opponents shoot the basketball? The earlier they shoot it, the more panicked they become on offense.
Delaware State has made its only 3 attempted. Ohio State has missed 3 of 4, and Hill has missed a couple. Once again, under 10. Sandage, who can move with the basketball, throws it up and missed it. And a rebound taken down by Buford quickly to Leidy. Ohio State wants to get Delaware State out of its comfort zone. And a foul call with 14:47 to go. Heads us to break. Ohio State has a made 3 and a dunk by David Leidy. But more than 5 minutes in, the game plan's working for Delaware State. Low scoring game at 5 apiece.
Or 7, and the correct answer is 5. Thank you to everyone for participating in today's AT&T Trivia Contest. And thanks to AT&T.
News exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Happy holidays to you from Columbus, Ohio. Jim Barber and the former head coach Mark Adams. Mark, so far Delaware State has worked its plan quite nicely as a former head coach. How many games were you overmatched, and did you decide to figuratively take the air out of the ball?
Well, it wasn't as smart as Greg Jackson. That's why I'm sitting next to you. But as far as Thad Mata is concerned, when you look at Delaware State, they're able to stay in their comfort zone. You got to look for more full court pressure, better ball pressure in the half court sets, and then look to trap to take Greg Jackson's team out of that steady offensive flow game plan.
4 straight possessions for the Hornets in which they have had the shot clock under 10. And in 2 of them, they netted a 3 and a 2. Buckeyes home white on offense, missed the shot, and it's 1 and out. Rebound taken down by Odd.
And guards rebounding the ball for Delaware State. Another key, if you can limit Ohio State to 1 shot. The only way Delaware State's going to do that is if the smaller guys also rebound the basketball.
Marcus Neal handles out front to Odd, and Trevor Welcher, 5'11", 160, junior from Augusta, Georgia, runs the show. Shot clock at 5. Traveling on Delaware State. Men's college basketball continues tonight at 7 Eastern. The Fighting Illini shooting for 4 in a row. Take on the Georgia Bulldogs at 9 Eastern. The Gardner-Webb running Bulldogs beat the Penn State Nittany Lions. Men's college basketball is part of Holiday Hoops, presented by K Jewelers on ESPNU tonight.
Delaware State now coming out with a little bit of trap in the half court, falling back to their 2-3 zone. Now they switch up right away, go back to their trap and the floating man-to-man.
Simmons on the drive, got held up and defended nicely by Greg Smith. He ran right into him.
There's great switching defenses midway through a possession by Delaware State. Old school, 4-corner, Dean Smith, North Carolina, spread them out, look for dribble penetration routes.
And if you're trying to pick up the crowd today, there isn't any so far. And that works well for the Hornets too. Again, with precious time on the shot clock, Delaware State tries to go to work. 2 to shoot it. They're not going to get it off though. And a shot clock violation, that's their second, but they are able to use some clock. And we're almost 7 minutes into the game. Still tied at 5, Mark.
This is the classic football matchup of a team that wants to run ball control offense versus a team that wants to spread the field and throw it downfield. That's Ohio State. But Delaware State using their ground game effectively here in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Good analogy. 4 turnovers for Delaware State, 3 for Ohio State. Whitey tries to drop it down to Lauderdale, who draws the double and is called for traveling. Ohio State is out of sync offensively here in the first half, and credit the game plan from Greg Jackson as to why that is happening. $85,000 payoff today, or payout for Delaware State appearing in Columbus. And of course, on top of that, the exposure. National television opportunity to play a big-time opponent. And I asked him at shoot-around today, I said, are there times where you wish you didn't take the money and ran? He said, no, I like our guys in these situations.
Well, Delaware State, it's not unusual for them to be on the road in a game like this.
Buckeyes turn it over again. Welcher to the basket. Missed it. No follow-up for Sandage. Great pass though to Neal to score.
Frisco's Sandage. Little no-look pass right there. And people in Columbus are getting a little bit restless right now. And here comes the trap from Delaware State.
7-5 in favor of the Hornets. A heavy underdog in this game. But the Buckeyes don't have a basket in the last 4 minutes until that 3 from Jeremy Simmons. A pretty timely 3, in fact. He shoots from the arc at 51%.
The Simmons guy played a lot of point guard last year with the injuries. But able to go ahead and roll to the 2 spot this year. He's much more comfortable in that position coming off the bench as a shooting guard. Taking Lauderdale. Look how far Dallas Lauderdale, the big fella for Ohio State, coming out playing defense.
And still the Hornets able to work the clock. To Smith over Lauderdale, missed it badly, didn't hit the rim by the way. Ball is loose on the floor. And with 3 remaining on the shot clock, In fact, it will be turned over to Ohio State. And with that, we have immediate timeout. Jeremy Simmons breaks the drought. More than 4 minutes without a hoop, and Ohio State leads by a point.
All right, fans, up there in the upper deck, the Bob Evans Hog Heaven is back. 100 lucky fans in the 300 level are going to win a free brat and soda. It's courtesy of Bob Evans. So let's check out the mini board and find out which lucky fans will be the winners. Which section might it be? All right, section 334. There's our winner, section 334, rows A through J. Congratulations and thanks for Bob Evans for sponsoring today's Hog Heaven promotion.
Low-scoring game to this point. That's the way Delaware State likes it. A reminder, men's college basketball continuing on to you Monday night. Could be a special night. Drexel Dragons take on John Wall and the Kentucky Wildcats. Could be the night Kentucky goes for 2,000 career wins. Men's college basketball, part of Holiday Hoops, presented by Kate Jewelers on ESPNU Monday at 7 Eastern. For more info, log on to ESPNU.com. John Wall averages 18 a game, already a 4-time SEC Freshman of the Week. And he's only playing in his freshman year, obviously. It should be mentioned Kentucky is leading today in its game against Austin Peay 22-16 with 10:42 to go in the first half. If the Cats win today, that is win number 1999 in their great history. That means Monday night in the U would be for 2,000 if the lead holds up.
John Wall, certainly a guy that has shown his ability, one of the highly decorated freshmen coming in to that heralded Kentucky class, proving that they are all legit. Here comes the trap from Delaware State.
John Diebler looking to drive to the basket, but cut off on the baseline. 8-7 in favor of the Buckeyes, and it has been a challenge so far against the slow motion, deliberate style of Delaware State.
And how about the switching defenses of Delaware State, confusing Ohio State in the half-court sets?
Jeremy Simmons.
Delaware State will need to find Jeremy Simmons. He's a great three-point shooter. That's his second three of the first half, and the Buckeyes have a 4-point lead.
Yeah, Jeremy Simmons isn't confused. If he's open, he's letting it fly and knocking it down.
Simmons with a couple of junior college championships at Mott Community College in Flint, Michigan. Welcher taken out of the play for the moment, but back with the ball. J3 to the game. He wears number 4 to Marcus Neal at 7. The shooter, he'll shoot a 3. Diebler with a rebound for Ohio State. Buckeyes with back-to-back threes, trying to add a third. And the rebound taken down by Delaware State, and they'll walk it up into the front court.
That shot by David Lighty, which he's very capable of making, but it plays right into the game plan of Delaware State. There were multiple jerseys back for defensive rebounding. Ohio State had no shot at an offensive rebound on that early shot.
Good dribble penetration. Sandridge missed the layup, though, but he'll get the follow-up and score. Francisco Sandridge with a basket. One of 2 seniors on this squad. One of them coming off the bench. And that narrows Ohio State's lead to 11-9.
Frisco Sandridge, one of those guys is very active on the offensive glass.
Buford splits the defense and missed it. And it's out of bounds to Delaware State. Let's visit the bio of the Hornets, who are located in Dover, Delaware. Founded back in 1891, they play in the MEAC. They're nicknamed the Hornets, and today they have done their school quite nicely, trailing by just a basket and implementing their style on Ohio State so far.
Well, Delaware State very happy to be in Columbus, Ohio, because there's an absolute blizzard going on on the East Coast right now, and they're hopeful they can get home. Because earlier this season, Delaware State knocked off their in-state rival Delaware. That's a huge win for Delaware State and the MEAC.
Well, you mentioned the weather. A number of the Hornets have already been in contact with family members about exactly what's going on back home and what their plans may be. Shot clock at 7, a familiar spot. 3 on the way, missed by 3. Neal tries to save. Who knocked it out of bounds? Looks like Lighty got a hand on it last, and it's a fresh shot clock, and that plays well for the Hornets.
Greg Jackson talked about today, whenever the Hornets can get an offensive rebound, kick it back out, run shot clock again. We'll see Delaware State get this thing under 10 again on the possession with the offensive rebound.
Should Ohio State do a better job of pressuring here?
You know, I think Ohio State would be better served in looking for trapping situations. Whenever you play against a team like Spread the Offense, they get into an offensive flow. You want to take them out of their comfort zone. You want to trap them, make them make a play off the dribble.
Find the guy maybe that doesn't dribble as well as the point guard.
You can trap anybody. Just take them out of their flow.
Neal on the bounce pass to 3, trying another 3. Again, he's too long. And it's 1 and out. Rebound, David Lighty. Lighty to Madsen. Corner shot deep for 3. Missed it. Rebound, Will Buford back up and in for the Bucks.
Lighty gets a defensive rebound on one end as a perimeter player. William Buford gets the offensive glass on the other end as a perimeter player. That's doing more with less. That's productivity. That's generating productivity through extra effort.
8-2 run by Ohio State.
Delaware State in their flex offense now.
And a foul called on Ohio State. That's Jeremy Simmons. 7:41 in a rapidly moving first half.
Hello, I'm Sasha Libernick. I'm from Serbia, from Novi. I play basketball for Ohio State University, and we wish all our guys out there, so srećan Novog godina I božićni praznici.
I'm Matt Picard from St. Isidore, Ontario. I'm on the men's ice hockey team, and I'd like to wish everyone a joyeux temps des fêtes.
If not, we just go with Lighty. I can run about rebound yards and rebound.
Ohio State 13, Delaware State 9, 7:41 for the first half. Time for the coach, Mark Adams, to take us inside the play.
Delaware State wants to spread out their offense. Watch the block off, in particular, David Lighty, number 23 in white. Shot goes up, look at him contact, rule the area, and then go up with 2 hands. Jim, to overcome the downsizing, you've got to do a good job of going to the glass from the perimeter positions. Now watch the opposite end. William Buford, a perimeter guy, goes up and gets the stick back on the offensive glass. That's being productive, doing more with less without Evan Turner. Well done by David Lighty and William Buford.
Over the last 2 games, Lighty averaging 18 per as compared to 12 when Turner was in the lineup. Marcus Neal's shot is rejected. Ohio State tries to come down with it, and in fact the Buckeyes are going to pick up a personal foul. to this point, rebounding favors Delaware State 9-7. The shooting is favor the Bucks at 42 to 31%. Ohio State, should it be concerned with the rebounding problem to this point, Mark?
Absolutely. I mean, Ohio State's a big athletic team that can get after the glass. I think Delaware State has been very proactive in limiting Ohio State to one shot for the most part. They've been plucking a few offensive rebounds just through effort. If I'm Thad Monta, the one thing I'm most concerned about is the 50-50 balls. Right now, Delaware State getting more 50-50 balls than Ohio State.
And only trailing by 4. Let's correct something I said earlier. In fact, Ohio State has the slight edge on the boards, 9-7, and now actually 9-8. It is much like a four-corner, isn't it?
They are just spreading the offense, going to look for dribble penetration routes and then slip passes inside. Ohio State falls into a little bit of a 3-2 zone. Nice cut.
Sandage to Jay Threet for the basket. Narrows the margin to 2. And Francisco Sandage at 6'8". He can throw the ball around.
How about Jay Threet reading the defender who turned his back on him? All he saw was the back of the head. Whenever you're that on offense, you go right to the basket. That's what Jay Threet did. And
it's a pretty sophisticated Ohio State crowd. They're knowledgeable basketball fans, and this crowd is trying to help their team out early because they're aware in this half-court game they could be in for a tough afternoon.
Watch the Ohio State defense, interior inside, all turn and look toward the ball. Look how everybody's just looking at the ball. There's the back cut right there. 5 jerseys that don't recognize a cutter because they're watching ball so hard, they lose their man perspective.
Trevor Welcher picked up his second personal foul moments ago for the Hornets, who have the basketball back and are trailing by only 2. This is a team that got run out of town against Arizona State by more than 40. And here having a highly competitive afternoon.
But they did play Arkansas tough, and they did come in here with a solid game plan that's designed to beat an Ohio State. Spread them out on offense, run shot clock. Does Ohio State have enough defensive patience?
And with the half-court game, that stays away from personal fouls. We've had no attempted free throws to this point either. For up-to-the-minute news for everything that's college sports, log on to ESPNU.com. This online service is a gateway to the best in college sports content from ESPN, combining the latest news, scores, features, video highlights, podcasts, and much more. Log on to ESPNU.com today. With Mark Adams, the former coach, I'm Jim Barber on ESPNU. So far, so good in terms of a competitive matchup. A 2-point game, more than 14 minutes gone by in the first half, and that man, Greg Jackson, has brought this game down to a halt.
He learned from one of the best, former head coach at North Carolina Central. One of his mentors was John McLendon. James Naismith invented the game. John McLendon made it better. And he learned under some of the best. McLendon, one of those legendary names in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Dallas Lauderdale, that's the reason he shoots at 90% per field goal attempt. His average is sensational, the best in the country. And when he gets that close, who's going to stop him?
I love the ball movement here against the scrambling defense. When Dallas Lauderdale gets it down low, you can bet on flushing it. It's right there, great cut, established position in the paint. 90.6% field goal percentage.
And you know what? You being a former coach, you wanted to know why he missed the 3 of the 32 this year. You wanted a full explanation for some reason.
He got a kick out of that, didn't he? That was fun.
15-11 Buckeyes, quickly the offense, and a block by Lauderdale. Let's see if Ohio State can convert defense to offense. Simmons on a drive to the basket, put it up, and he got fouled, and that's one of those open gaps, and Simmons split it.
Ohio State goes full court pressure, results in the block shot by Dallas Lauderdale. Boy, Jeremy Simmons done a good job knocking down threes earlier in the game right there, taking the ball to the basket. I love the full court pressure from Ohio State in that situation. That can jumpstart your offense.
Simmons has played 9 minutes to this point. He has scored 6 points. One of his strengths is attacking the goal, and he has done that very effectively here in the first half.
I think another strength for Jeremy Simmons is that he was forced to play the point guard position last year because of injury, I think it gave him a better overall view of how to be a better basketball player. I think he's parlayed some of those skills over to his two-guard position, and there you saw it with the dribble penetration to the rack.
Shoots the ball very well, Value City Arena, over 65%. He has also added some strength to his body during the offseason. That makes a difference. Here comes the pressure from Ohio State. That leads to a scrum. Who's going to get it? Looks like Treat's got it. To Sandage in a basket, and Diebler tied him up. John Diebler with the defensive play and some help from Lauderdale as well.
This is how you make a team speed up. Full court pressure. Diebler on top of the ball, called a jump ball, alternate possession rule, Ohio State. I love the pressure from the Buckeyes in this situation. They've seen enough of sitting back in their half-court man-to-man defense. Time to trap, make some things happen.
Don't know why to make this game any closer than it has to be. Ohio State a 30-point win over Presbyterian College the other night. In a fight so far with Delaware State from the MEAC, with 5 minutes even remaining in the first half.
Thad Matta going to keep that full court pressure on Delaware State. We're going to see a lot of this for the rest of the game.
Replaces Chad Wilson.
Chad Wilson out for Delaware State. In the backcourt, Ali Baba Bod wears number 11. Welcher is on the bench. He's got 2 fouls. Threet is number 4. 55, you've already seen him down low, Sandage. 42 is Smith. And 35, Amir Bell.
Look at that 4-corner set. Everybody just spread out at the half-court line.
Effectively reducing the game. Handoff from Threet inside. First shot missed. Second one put back up and in. What's not to like about the game from Francisco Sandage so far?
Well, how about Jay Threet and his ability to cut off a trailing defender and just get that wide open look in the dish.
Buford wide open, missed it, but Lauderdale going to be pretty hard to block him out with an offensive rebound and a putback. Buckeyes with their 6th second chance point, 8, by the way, for Delaware State to this point. Ball lost in the front court, turned over to Jeremy Simmons. Handoff to Buford. Back to Simmons, catch and shoot. And look at the rebound effort by Lighty. Loose on the floor, those 50-50 chances right now. Held ball favors the visitors from Dover, Delaware. When we come back, ball out of bounds to the Hornets. They're giving Thad Matta and the Buckeyes some trouble.
All right, fans, it's now time for the Donato's delivery of the game. The cheerleaders will be tossing T-shirts, a voucher for free individual pizzas to be redeemed at any participating Donato's locations or inside the shirts. Be sure to take your voucher after the game to a participating Donato's restaurants. Make some noise for free shirts and free pizza.
Tis the season to be jolly. Welcome back to Holiday Hoops, presented by K Jewelers. Our score: Ohio State 18, Delaware State 13, under 4 in the first half. The Buckeyes have turned up the pressure, and how have they done that effectively?
They've gone to full court pressure, which doesn't allow Delaware State to just automatically flow into their half-court set. So it takes Delaware State out of their comfort zone. Ohio State has to be more productive by forcing turnovers, getting offensive glass, and getting the 50-50 balls. When you lose 18 points and 11 rebounds for Evan Turner, you've got to make it up in other ways. I mean, Evan Turner's a guy, there you see him on the bench, he's actively coaching his teammates. Those are his numbers, those are player of the year numbers. So you've got to get more turnovers. How do you do it? By getting out and pressuring, double teaming the ball. That's what Ohio State has done on this 11-4 run.
Evan Turner's roommate John Diebler telling us today in shoot-around that first couple days after the injury, he was down, as you might expect, but his mom was on campus for a good week and a half helping out. Dallas Lauderdale came over to help out as well when I guess Turner kind of spun off the couch and couldn't move. And Big Dallas came over to give him a lift, literally.
Good thing was Dallas. I don't know if the rest of them could pick him up.
No. Could have called Jim Tressel for some help from his Buckeyes. Simmons to Will Buford, open court, and now Ohio State has become the aggressor.
This trapping full court press has changed the tone and tempo of this game.
Well, you mentioned earlier that's what the Buckeyes needed to do, and as a result, a 15-6 edge since trailing early in the game.
The other thing it does, Jim, it energizes your team offensively and defensively. When you're getting turnovers, dunking the ball, making plays, everybody gets a hop in their step.
To Jackson's credit, as head coach, he said we're going to stay with our plan, and the plan worked in the half-court set.
I'll tell you, the Ohio State coaches are going to look at video, and they're going to recognize that Greg Jackson saw a weakness on help side defense from Ohio State. Everybody's watching the ball. Nobody's seeing backside cutters.
Whitey to Will Buford. Tough pass inside to Lauderdale, and a foul called on Delaware State. Men's college basketball tonight. Good-looking doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern, the Fighting Illini of Illinois against the Georgia Bulldogs. The Illini have won 3 in a row. 9 Eastern, Penn State and Taylor battle, averaging 18 a game against the Gardner-Webb running Bulldogs. Battles numbers 18 per, 6 rebounds, 3 assists per game as well. And he leads the team in minutes at almost 36 and a half. Men's college basketball, part of the Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers on ESPNU tonight. Well, since we last saw Illinois, you and I saw him against Wofford back in the middle of November. The only Illini pulled off that almost miracle comeback against Clemson, down 23 second half, won that game in the ACC on the road, and have been pretty good since then.
Kind of grew up during that Clemson game. They lost out in Las Vegas, dropped 2 to Utah and Bradley, and then were able to pick it up down 23 on the road with the greatest comeback in Illinois history over Oliver Purnell's ball club. I think Illinois is a middle-of-the-pack team right now in the Big Ten.
Illinois has 5 starters, all in double figures, and 2 very good-looking freshmen in Paul and Richardson.
Brandon Paul was Dwayne Wade-like against Clemson at times. He's a special, special talent. Another very productive freshman.
Ohio State plays on the lead at 21-15, and we are deep into a quick-moving first half.
Remember what Greg Jackson told his team. Regardless of circumstance, stay with the plan. That's exactly what Delaware State is doing.
3 out front, shot clock at 5. Sandage recognizes it, throws it back to 3 for 3. Did hit the rim. Play moves on in the hands of Whitey. Whitey thrashing to the basket. Buckeyes' biggest lead at 8, 23-15.
This is going to be the fastest college basketball game in history.
There's a women's game later tonight. They may want to move that up.
Well, credit both teams for playing good defense with their feet.
Lauderdale recovers the Hornet turnover and went behind his back. Diebler with the rebound. Hasn't had many looks so far, but this man has. Lighty. Buckeyes missed with the 3. They're now 3 of 12 from the 3-point line. And with a minute to go, the plan once again is walk into the front court and wait.
On the plus side for Ohio State, I do like the way these 4 guards have rebounded the basketball for Ohio State throughout the first half. I think that's been a huge plus for this ball club, especially without Evan Turner, who averages 11 rebounds per game.
10 to shoot, Sandage will. Francisco Sandage with a long 2. He has got 8 of Delaware State's 17 points. How about his first half?
There's no panic in Delaware State. Here comes the trap.
Turnovers and field goals virtually even. This game has been separated by 2 possessions, 23-17. The Buckeyes will get the last look at the basket.
I think you look for Lighty in this situation. There's Lighty right there, missed him.
To Lauderdale. Give Simmons the assist, 2 seconds left from half court. First half over, and for the most part, Delaware State with its will, being able to impose it, but trailing now by 8. Coming up with the K Jewelers halftime report, ESPN News. Kentucky's countdown to 2,000 wins and first half highlights and statistics, without them leading 25-17 as we are set to start the second half. Jim Barber back with Mark Adams. It's been a tale of 2 halves in the first half, so explain if you will.
It really has. In the first 10 minutes, Delaware State came out with their spread offense. That was their game plan for Greg Jackson, and they really executed it extremely well. Ohio State, then Thad Matta, reading the situation, went to his full court pressure package with the Buckeyes. That turned into some easy baskets. Buckeyes up by 8.
Let's visit the first half highlights. Delaware State at one point led 7-5 just about 8 minutes in, and that certainly was the way they wanted to come out and use the clock and score.
Well, and they did. They spread the offense. Jay Treat right there, reading the defender, no vision. And Delaware State able to pick on this Ohio State defense. Was very much ball focused. There, Frisco Sandage with the deuce. And how about David Lighty putting the ball on the floor and attacking the defense with the thunder dunk inside, and then getting the rebound full court, 94 feet. David Lighty has just been tremendous here in the first half. The loss of Evan Turner means guys like David Lighty have to step up.
Francisco Standage in this game, 8 points, 4 of 8 field goals shooting, and 5 rebounds. 3 points from Smith on a 3-pointer, 8 field goals made, 9 turnovers. For Ohio State, Lauderdale, Buford, and Simmons all with 7 apiece. And in fact, in the first half, Lighty, Diebler, and Buford all played 20 minutes.
Delaware State can open up in some 2-3 zone, but for Ohio State, Jim, I think it's critical to continue to get defensive traps, get turnovers, and go.
First possession of the second half, missed by Lauderdale. And here come the Hornets. No reason to deviate from the game plan, I would assume.
Absolutely. Stay with the Greg Jackson game plan. Spread out the defense. Make Ohio State play defense for 25 to 35 seconds. Every possession.
And if you're the Buckeyes, what do you want to do defensively at this point?
Trap, pressure. Find ways to get them out of their offensive flow.
Each team with a missed shot. Frisco Sandage tries to follow it up and scores. He now is at double figures for the Hornets, and where would they be without him?
Well, they'd be down a lot more, but he's that one athletic presence in the paint, Frisco Sandage, that can make Ohio State pay, especially on the offensive glass.
He was the team's top rebounder last year. John Diebler wires up a 3, and that's what he does better than anything, shooting at 48% from the arc.
A nice fade screen right there by Dallas Lauderdale to get Diebler open.
Comes up with a turnover to Buford, hands off to Lighty, put it up and scored. David Lighty with a basket and 1.
John Diebler wide open on the previous play because of the fade screen. Watch number 52, Dallas Lauderdale set the screen right there. And that allows John Diebler to set his feet, knock down the 3 ball. That's a huge screen by Dallas Lauderdale.
Timeout, Delaware State.
Third foul called on Trevor Welcher. The Hornets will use a timeout, which is a full timeout early here in the second half. Ohio State leading in our game 30-19, and if you are the Hornets, you may be starting to reach a critical point in this game. We'll come back. Welcome back to Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers. Ohio State now with an 11-point lead, 30-19. And it is time now for our national news and notes. The big story reported by Andy Katz of ESPN.com. A new contract for Jim Calhoun. His current deal set to expire in June of next year. He gets a 5-year deal and beyond $1.6 million a year. Texas and UNC in a shootout today at Cowboy Stadium, 103-90, won by the Longhorns. And Butler came back to beat Xavier by a point in a game that had some controversy in the final seconds.
Big win for Butler after the big victory over Ohio State as Thad Matta went back to Butler to play the Bulldogs, and that's 2 big wins and 2 big weekends for the Butler Bulldogs. Brad Stevens.
And a pretty strong effort from Xavier, down by 14 in that game. Actually started the second half with an 11-0 run, and at the end was beaten on a Hayward layup with 1.2 seconds to go.
Chris Mack doing a great job with that program, stepping in for Sean Miller.
Great penetrating. I don't know if that was a pass or a shot, but either way, he scores it. J3. What has he meant to this team off the bench?
He can get into gaps and make plays. That's what he did right there. Spread the defense like Greg Jackson wants, and then make plays deep in the shot clock.
Lighty tied up by 3, stolen by 3.
Oh, was that a pick your pocket? 3 just grabbed the ball right away from David Lighty.
3 stands at 5'11", Lighty at 6'5". And 3 is quick.
Delaware State just staying with that game plan, spread the defense, look for avenues late in the shot clock.
3 working against Hill. Diebler comes over to double, results in a loose ball. Buckeyes are going to try to get it. Instead, it's back to 3.
Shot clock.
Yeah, it's going to be a violation.
Shot clock violation.
Nobody had control, so the possession was still in the hands of Delaware State, and that's the 3rd shot clock violation of this game. For the game, 11 turnovers for Delaware State, averaging 12 per game.
Delaware State now showing some 1-3-1 zone look out of this. Now they match up in man-to-man.
Their coach earlier talked about when Ohio State goes into a weave on offense to go to a 2-3 zone matchup, but now we're seeing something a little different.
A lot different. This team is very unusual that Greg Jackson can manipulate his defense midway through a possession, Jim. That's very difficult to do, but Delaware State does a nice job. They'll show you zone for multiple passes and then go man-to-man late in the shot clock. Very interesting how they execute it.
Lauderdale draws the double. Delaware State thought it had a turnover. Instead, it's a foul on the Hornets. Greg Jackson, who coached at North Carolina Central from '92 to 2000, was 163 and 77. He has a 19-year career record overall. Got Delaware State to the tournament in 2006 before losing to Duke, 57-46 in the opening round.
Won the regular season MEAC titles in 04 and 07, 3 championships for Delaware State, a program that was downtrodden for decades. Greg Jackson done a tremendous job in the MEAC with Delaware State.
Drop down to Lauderdale. Brad Stevens of Butler said it best. When Lauderdale gets up to dunk, it's like he's 14 feet.
Yeah, just get out of the way, and I'd like to see more of that from Ohio State. A guy that shoots 90%. One thing I know in doing my grade school math, getting the ball more.
Absolutely. 9 points for Lauderdale on the game. He is 4 of 5 shooting. That'll affect the average adversely by a percentage point or 2. Marcus Neal, the star of this team, has been held to 2 points. How about him getting more active, Mark? He's number 30.
Well, credit William Buford and David Lighty both who have defended him throughout this game.
Gave it up to 3, who misses the 3. And the Buckeyes, with an 11-point lead, have the ball.
I love the way Lighty's willing to rebound the basketball. There with the post feed by David Lighty.
Diebler missing on the 3. He was telling us today that he got face guarded against Butler and wasn't able to get any open looks, so they're working with him about getting more active on the offensive end.
10-second violation.
Unforced error on the part of the Hornets. They cannot do that. Trying to upset number 18th ranked Ohio State.
impact on its communities. Kiwanis International took a leading role in the near total elimination of iodine deficiency disorder, a leading cause of mental retardation in third world developing nations. The Ohio District of Kiwanis International is a major sponsor of Make a Difference Day and has a major goal of eliminating pediatric trauma cases. Through the support of terrific kids, builders clubs, key leaders, key clubs, Circle K clubs, and Ethicon clubs, Kiwanis is preparing today's youth to become tomorrow's leaders. Ask any Kiwanian and he or she will be proud to tell you how their clubs change our world, one child and one community at a time.
Just want to wish my mom and dad in Alliance, Ohio, a happy holidays.
All right, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Paul Sinopoli, and hailing from Dayton, Ohio. I'm here in Baghdad, Iraq. Just wanted to say happy holidays to Rebecca and Luke back there in Dayton, and I will see you soon. Love you.
Hi, my name is Andrea Walker. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I play on the women's basketball team at Ohio State, and I'm going to wish all Buckeyes a happy holiday.
I'm Taylor Stephen, men's ice hockey.
As you know, Mark, fan is short for fanatic.
Avatar. It's Avatar.
All right, fans, let's see some of those.
More men's college basketball hilarity coming up Monday night on the U. Actually, could be historical. Kentucky may be shooting for their 2,000th win. Leading Drexel right now, or playing Drexel Monday night with a great John Wall. Men's college basketball part of Holiday Hoops, presented by K Jewelers. Kentucky in a dogfight with Austin Peay right now, up by 6 with 17:24 to go. These are the milestone wins for the Wildcats, dating all the way back to 1903. I was in Lexington a few weeks ago for a game with Ryder. It doesn't matter the opponent. The crowd is incredible, 23,000 and change at Rupp Arena. And the three freshmen up close and personal are as good, if not better than advertised.
Well, how about the matchup of a former John Calipari assistant and Bruiser Flint coming into Lexington on a historic opportunity for 2,000 wins for Kentucky.
Austin Peay trying to spoil it, though, with an 8-0 start to start the second half against Kentucky, trailing just 49-43. Buckeyes in their home white have led most of the way, but have been forced into a half-court game with Delaware State.
Delaware State foul number 1.
Well, for Ohio State, we talked about doing more with less, the loss of Evan Turner. So you've got to go to the offensive glass, got to get turnovers. Thad Matta wants more efficiency from his offense.
Fourth personal foul on Trevor Welcher. He has never been able to get into the flow of the game because of the personals.
A 30-second timeout.
Time now for a little campus connection on ESPNU, and we get a chance to meet some of the fun and more active personalities with the kids who are members of their basketball team. How about Mark Titus? He's a Buckeye. He's part of our campus connection player profile. Writes Club Trillion blog on life from end the bench. And how many hits has he gotten for that? Oh, just a couple million.
A couple million, that's all.
As a result, been able to do some charity work with it. T-shirts available, Club Trill. He has sold 800 of those at what, $25 a pop, something like that?
And all the proceeds go to help kids around the area with Christmas gifts. What a wonderful cause by a guy. Doesn't see really hardly any playing time, but has found a niche. Nice little entrepreneurial story with a philanthropic twist to it.
Absolutely. Double team on Buford for the moment. Now in the hands of Simmons, going to the basket, missing, and tapped out to 3. J3 can get that ball off the board, and he could go.
He's going to be a real threat in the open court in the MEAC this season. Of course, Morgan State under Todd Bozeman knocked off Arkansas. Great win for the MEAC earlier in the season, going into the SEC and getting a victory. Delaware State knocking off Delaware earlier this season. MEAC has had some quality victories.
Todd Bozeman, an amazing story in himself with some of the difficulties he had as a coach, and has now come back and made himself and friends and family proud.
Redemption for Todd Bozeman.
Here comes the trap before the 10-second line. Buckeyes beat it. Strong to the basket, Lighty, and nobody able to pick him up.
And that's exactly what you do against that extended defense, and David Lighty's been so effective off the dribble.
Lighty leads Ohio State in scoring.
Number 15, Kyle Manson replaces Dallas Lauderdale.
With 8. Now we mentioned Mr. Titus. How about a little FaceTime for him right now?
One of those guys that's just a great teammate from Brownsburg, Indiana.
One of the other famous Brownsburg Bulldogs, Gordon Hayward, starring with Butler, had the game-winning basket with a second to go today. Brownsburg won a state championship a couple of years ago when Hayward got a putback with 1 second to go. Frisco Sandage way out front against Kyle Manson.
Delaware State and their flex offense here.
Bell on the drop down to Sandage. Tough shot. Put it right over Manson, though.
Well, I like this kid's game down low. Frisco Sandage, he's lithe, he's athletic, he's quick off his feet, he has good hands and good instinct. He's undersized, but he understands how to score with a man on his hip.
He is right at his average today, 12 points. Ohio State, though, able to beat the pressure, and Kyle Manson gets an easy basket. Manson already has graduated from Ohio State and in grad school in sports management. Broken up by Buford near our broadcast position. In the paint, Ohio State a decided advantage. That is the difference in the game, 22-14.
Well, and some of that has been on second chance points. William Buford has been able to contribute on the offensive glass. Ohio State with their 4-guard offense, but they're still able to crash